Welcome back to Makeup Tip Tuesday. Now that we are back to school, we have so many things that we have been celebrating this month, from Victoria's 2-year anniversary to the soft opening of MisMacK. We thought it was time to bring back a gift with purchase. So I'm going to show you actually how to use Regal today as a gel liner with our Depuff and Prime eye gel. So from now until the end of the month, or while supplies last, when you purchase $75 or more, you will receive Regal ART Shadow. So I kind of already have a base on, so I'm just going to show you how you can take it from like an everyday just mascara look to like let's jazz it up for a bit of a fun, more of an evening look. So as you know, Regal is also the color that we use to neutralize any redness in the skin. So for rosacea, it's our color corrective when you mix it into our foundation. But it is amazing as a gel liner. And we're gonna use our Depuff and Prime as our mixing medium. So when we're using this guy, we're gonna whip it down, we're going to shake it onto the back of our hand, and the key is to get quite a bit out into a little puddle, like so. With our liner brush, we're going to dip into the gel onto the back of our hand, and we're going to dedicate a corner into our art shadow for this. So we're going to pick up a bunch of pigment. You can also scrape if you have a little spoolie at home or a used clean mascara wand. We're going to create the gel onto the back of our hand, like so. We're going to start right at our iris, and in little strokes, making sure that that brush is always pointed into the lashes. We're going to connect down into that inner corner, okay? And then we're gonna stop at our last eyelash here, and we're gonna start to lift it up and away, and then hugging it down to meet that iris. Okay, we're gonna apply a couple more layers to this guy. So this is just a fun little like, hey, let's play with color, but it's not super intimidating. And then the cool thing with the gel is that once it dries, it becomes transfer proof. It's pretty crazy. So for this with hooded eyes, we can get a really good, secure liner. So going into the MisMacK facial guides, if you have taken a lesson, you will have your little face chart. We go over the brows. So one of the natural MisMacK facial guides is when you put a brush up to the end of your nostril. You're not pushing, you're just lightly on the outside. Anything on this side of the brow should be tweezed. And then we're gonna move it from the outside edge of the nostril to the outside edge of the eye, and we're going up there. That is where our brow should end, okay? Or if you're like me, I need to kind of taper it down a little bit. Now the other one for the arch is going through the iris and up, okay? Now, those spaces between here are also your guide for your eyeliner balance, okay? So really important. What can happen is you can create an easy, what I call a rainbow liner, where it's thickest at the top, smallest down here, and smallest down here. What that does is it droops the eye. We want to think that we're lifting. So by starting right at our iris there and going out, stopping at our last lash, and then hugging it down to almond out the eye is key. Now, very important that we stop at our last eyelash. We all have this fold of skin here that comes down, okay? And a lot of people make the mistake of starting their liner there or completing the wing down there, and then you get the Nike check, is what I like to call it. If you want to stop at your last iris and drag up to that natural guide, and then hug it back down into that iris to create that awesome oval lifting effect. And baby steps. I know you would think when you're mixing this gel in the back of your hand, it kind of goes patchy when you're mixing your green, but it goes on like a dream. So now when we go to do the other side, I find it much easier to hold my brush like a chopstick, okay? Gripping it right at the ferrule. I'm gonna hug my elbow over my chest, and I'm going to twist my wrist down, and I'm gonna use my pinky as my rest. So this way I can get a really nice angle, and I'm gonna kind of use the tip. But see how my brush is now automatically pointing into my lash, like so. And we're going to build it up. This is why we always do our eyes first, because if you don't have anything on your skin. It doesn't matter if you're touching your face or if you get foliage, you can wipe it away. So it is a buildup. If that happens, use your finger, pull it down, and you can fix it. Voila! So I always find, of course, my left side is always harder than my right side. And you kind of want to go back and forth in different directions, because as we mature, the skin ripples. Good times. And we want it to be nice and smooth. So now it's just, so see how I've stopped at my last lash? I'm going to use the angle of the brush, going to go on an angle down, and I'm going to connect this too. And then a little wispy so it tapers off. And then it's just a plain game. So see how I am coming up over my hood? That is important to give us that lifting effect with our eyeliner, especially if we have hooded eyes. But think of it as going up and away. There we are. So then what we want to do is we just want to make sure that the balance is there. So it's kind of going back and forth now. If we have any patchiness, this is perfectly normal. We're just going to go in and make it nice and opaque with a few more layers of the green. Now, of course, you can do this with any art shadow. So Romance is super pretty. Magic Violet if you're wanting purple. But I love this for an easy sort of fall little like pick-me-up look from going from just a mascara look into something a little bit more glamorous for evening. So to top this look off, I'm gonna put Sassy J on my lips. This is a perfect like fall color. It's amazing. I am gonna go in with a lip brush though and chisel out my lips. So clearly when it's yours, you go right into the pan. I am scraping for sanitary purposes. And I'm gonna use the side of the brush. So just to recap on lips, see how I have that white line there? Okay, and my pigment hugs inside of that. We actually want to take our pigment over that white line to make our lips look fuller. So to get a really good idea, or a good stretch to the lip, you want to hit your teeth out like this, using the side, hugging it down, starting in the center like 3/4, and then going up. So see when you go normal, it hugs that color underneath your lip and it makes it look fuller. And then painting the rest in. I find the brush is so much more in control, especially if you have littler lips, to be able to get that fullness. So when we do the top now, you can't stretch because what it'll stretch our guide. So we want to eyeball it, starting in the center, hugging it up, and coming down. Okay, going up over that natural guide, making sure that your shape is even. So instead of using a lip liner, essentially what we use is our lipsticks as a liner, and then we fill it in because they're super opaque. It'll help. And now, a little tip. If you find that your lipstick moves on you, some people have a little bit more of slippy lips than others, what you can do is you can take a little bit of the blur, okay, and a all over shadow brush or a detail brush, and just buff the edge with a little bit of the blur to set it, and that will avoid any bleeding into the lip. As you can see, it's not adjusting, it's not moving anything, but it is just setting that outside so it doesn't go into any fine line. And there we have it. That's this week's Makeup Tip Tuesday, going into a simple liner look using our Regal Art Shadow and our Depuff and Prime Gel, topping it off with a little Sassy J on the lips to give a really nice fall look. So don't forget, Regal is our gift with purchase from now until the end of the month, or while supplies last. We purchase $75 or more. And don't be afraid to play. Now is the time to fall in love with color. And if you're in the Salmon Arm or Victoria area, we do have private workshops going on Wednesday nights for the next 3 Wednesdays on Fall in Love with Color, where Katie and Heather are going to teach you how to add color into your makeup routine without being intimidated. So go on, get your shopping on, and we will see you next week for the next Makeup Tip Tuesday.